I can start off by saying that I've had somebody that didn't want to date me when they found out what race I was.
When was this?
So it happened once. It happened from like one time. It happened in high school, but that more came from like women telling me like I shouldn't date outside of my race. Like other women telling me that. And which
other
was very
women told you that you should not date outside of your race?
Yeah, because I'm very.
And were there women in your own community or women of our community?
Different community.
Okay.
And like obviously I'm very racially ambiguous.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was women of a specific community telling me like I shouldn't date their community.
Which community?
Black.
I was gonna say you can call them all.
So and it was like I was like, what? I'm like, I'm not trying to like I just like people. Like I'm not trying to
black
like
girls, West Indian, Jamaican girls.
It was a black girl, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I was older, this is like I would say I don't know how many years ago, but it was a couple years ago. Yeah, this guy, like we were talking, and he thought I was like West Indian. He thought I was Trini. And then I told him like what I was, and he's like, yeah, I don't do that. And I was like, what? I was like, all right, man, like do your thing. Cool.
Oh, because he thought you were probably crazy.
Why would he think I'm crazy?
Isn't that the stigma behind those Trinis and Guyanese and all that?
No.
He thought
I was Trini.
Right.
And that was okay. But when he found out I was East Indian, he did not want to talk to me anymore, which I found was odd. But whatever. I mean, to each their own. So that's my.
You never got the rationale as to why? I
didn't care to. Like, if that's what you want to say, all right, cool.
I feel like I still want to know, though.
I literally don't care. I didn't care. I was like, all right,
yeah,
cool.
I wouldn't carry it. I would just be curious.
Like, but
do you know why?
Most of my
what you got against East Indians? Like what? Like what is it?
I don't know.
Really, you'd be.
I wouldn't care
from
just
her
because,
perspective. Like, I feel like I would be like,
nah, because like, bro, if you're telling me that this is not something that you want, then no problem. I don't care why. It's just not. I'm not for you, and that's not a problem.
I'm a very curious person.
I mean, there's a natural curiosity, and like that curiosity doesn't stem past like the natural root of. I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah,
but like, there's no dwelling.
Especially in that conversation. Yeah, I was like, all right, fam, like no problem.
Yeah, that part.
What's up with this guy? Your mic ain't muted, yo. What are you saying? Like,
but
you sound like a sales guy. Like, why not? But I got a deal.
I'm a hustler, bro.
But yeah, other than that, like most of my relationships have been interracial. So,
how interracial though? You ever date a white guy?
No, but I would, but I just haven't. My parents, like initially, like they were just like never, like not having it. Like when they found out about my first boyfriend.
Yeah, and
they're like, no, you can't. Nah. And now I think like I'm just older, so they're just like fucking thankful that I'm in a relationship.
Yeah, right.
That's a real thing, though.
It's at that point. But on like, all jokes aside, but like, nah, they came around like I don't know when I was in my 20s. I would say they didn't really care after that. So
I think that's a real thing in the Indian community.
What?
That's a real thing in every community.
Well, first it starts off with caste, so it's like they got to be the same caste. And then now realizing what all the alternatives is like, yo, just stick with the ethnicity. Don't worry.
Yeah,
like,
it's
okay. It's not the same caste. Just stick with the same ethnicity.
Yeah, but I went outside that already.
Yeah.
So.
No, but that's gonna happen. You're in Toronto, and then B, like the world's just heading that direction, regardless.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I never thought or found it a challenge for me, like with the people that I was with, like in terms of like culturally and stuff. But I also think that has a big part of where I grew up, because like that's all I was surrounded with.
Yeah.
Like I was very like involved or like within the like Caribbean culture, so it wasn't like certain cultural things and certain things that like maybe other people like wouldn't understand, like no outside clothes on the bed. Like somebody maybe from like a different community wouldn't get that.
Yeah.
Right, or things like that. So like for me, that was never like a challenge or like a hindrance in that way.
That's like shoes in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that's like
What?
American,
Exactly.
Canadian
Americans do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Americans wear shoes in their house.
thing. Yeah.
I thought that was just a television thing. Like I never thought it was a because
Like a for actual.
yeah.
Yeah.
When I found that out, I was just like, for real though?
Mm.
Like,
Yo,
for real?
you know who was the worst? Rest in peace, my grandfather. But this guy used to come up from Cleveland in the house, just from outside straight into the house, and like whenever he'd bring his son or like his whoever, like one of my cousins would or aunts or uncles would be coming with him.
Yeah.
Same shit. They're just in the house with their shoes, bro. Like,
yeah. But they don't
we don't do that around here.
Yeah,
Nah, my mom would just allow them. My mom would just allow them. Like, whatever.
Mm-mm.
It's just it's so natural for him. It's like whatever. Bro. Like, but by this point, we hit our like that. It's all hardwood. If the carpet was still there, then nah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that can always be like that, just different like different like cultural stuff or just like I guess you would call that cultural too, but like different things like that. Like if I was talking to someone and they were like, let's say I was talking to a guy and he was like from a different culture than me and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna cook you dinner. And like I'm there while he's cooking and like he doesn't like wash his chicken. Like I'm not eating it. And like that's not for me.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to have to explain that to you. And I don't want to have to like, you know what I mean? So like I feel like there's certain
it's the explaining part.
But I can do that, but I just feel like I'm just too
even delicacies
grown in my age. Yeah, all of it. But it's like I feel like, you know, just certain cultures and stuff, like you get that.
Yeah.
Or it's not always like a thing.
This reminds me of this video that I saw on TikTok where they're showing some like an Asian country and they're eating some sort of crab or not. It wasn't a crab. It's some other kind of animal or whatever creature for the sea. And it's like moving.
Yeah.
And then this guy shows up like in the middle of the video, like, can't we just eat chicken?
Yuck. Give me that push on it. Yuck. I need that on my board. That's the one that I should take.
It's on the other page. But too late. But going back to what you're talking about, this reminds me of Trevor Noah. Obviously you guys know Trevor Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's from Cape Town.
He's South African, yeah.
Yeah. So back then,
was the story about his brother?
No, it's about him.
Oh.
So he's like his book, Born a Crime. He's what he talks about basically in that book is his mom is African, but his father, I think, is German, Swedish, or German something.
German.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The German part I know.
But back then, it was against the law to even have sex with it.
Yeah.
Another colored person. So I don't know. It's a whole nother level to it. Like here, it's just like, okay, it's maybe frowned upon. There, it's like legally you're not allowed to do this. Yeah. And it's a little bit harder as far as the punishments are against the law for like if you're the black person getting caught in that, especially if you're the male. They'll make it like it's rape.
Yeah.
And I remember this one thing. He's like, if a white guy gets caught with a black girl, they'll be like, oh, okay, we'll just say you're drunk. Like if the authorities are to catch it, like yo, dude. But his book is wild in the sense that he talks about certain times where he couldn't even be seen in public with his father walking.
Yeah, no.
And he's like running after
like that.
Yeah, he's running after him saying, hey, daddy. And then his dad's like running away from him. Like it's funny, but it's like, yo, imagine that.
It's wild, man.
Yeah. So there's a whole, I don't know. It's crazy that we take it. We have a lot of freedom out here, man. Like there's different parts of the world where it wasn't even a possibility.
I also feel like to that point, so my mom looks she favors like an Italian woman. So she looks white. And when we were younger, she would always like, they would like talk to her. They would think that I was lost. Like I'm just like lost little black kid.
Yeah.
And like not like accept that like this is her daughter and things like that.
Yeah.
And then even with that, like when we were in India, like, you know what I mean? It was like because of my appearance and the way I looked and some things like that, like I wasn't accepted as much as like
I could see that.
She like, you know what I mean? So it was just like I feel like there's all these like small friggin' stupid societal shit that like I dealt with when I was like, it was the 80s, right? When all that was happening.
I got the opposite of that. Because I lived in India for like the first 3 years with my mom's sister's family. And at the time, her husband, so my uncle, my master, right? He was trying to get into the States and they didn't know who I was. because my cousins were like 10, 12, 15 years older than me, but I was really fair skinned at the time. So they thought he had impregnated a white woman, and I was just left here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
For a while, it was royalty. Like, just, yeah. Actually, same thing. Trevor talks about that too, where he's like, yo, this is the funniest thing that I got in the book. Yeah, this is funny. So funny.
Shout out your Goodreads while you're at it, yo.
Yo, seriously, Goodreads, shout out Audible, all that.
Shout out your book clubs real quick. Find you on Instagram, SB the Student, to join your book club, all of that stuff. Plug it, yo.
Boom. The book clubs are more self-development stuff. This is just my leisure stuff because I went through pretty much every comedian's book out there. But this guy's stuff is just so good, man. I think he won some sort of awards for this book too. There's so many funny stories that can go on forever.
Yeah.
But there's this one where he's talking about his grandmother, right? And his grandmother will beat the rest of the kids because they're black. They're from the mom's side, but she'll never hit him. And then the mom's like, yo, why don't you ever hit him or discipline him or whatever? She's like, I don't know what to do.
Because it'll show?
Because he's white, and whenever I hit him, he might turn red, he turns blue, I might break him. The black kids are so easy to hit. Like, they stay this way.
I heard that.
That's so terrible.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yo, it's funny though, right? Like he says it in a humorous way as well.
Perspective, bro. Perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective.
That book to this topic adds so much perspective. But even that whole country, like, here, I'll give you another story just because it's funny. They stole, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly what it was. Him and his buddy stole something, like a CD or something like that, from a mall, and the cameras are in black and white. So
you can't tell what he's getting to.
Yes,
his hair.
No, like they couldn't. Like, he looks white in the camera. They're like, oh, this can't be you. You're like, it's played in his favor so many times.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that book is funny. Everybody should go take a look at that. Take a read of that.
Yeah.
Shout out Drake while we're at it, because he's another one.